Hey everyone, Pastor Nathan here. In Luke's Gospel, 24th chapter, we hear about these two disciples who leave for the town of Emmaus. This has something to say to what our current cultural climate, I believe. The first is that these disciples were being motivated by fear. Fear is a powerful motivator. They were running away from the guards, running away from the authorities of Jerusalem, which would have seemed kind of odd because everyone else is probably going towards Jerusalem because that's where the feast is happening that accompanied Passover. So fear is pushed them away from the disciples who were also afraid and huddling in the upper room. So they're afraid. And this fear does two things. First is, like I said, it motivates them. The second thing that it does, though, is it keeps them from recognizing Jesus, or it's part of what keeps them from recognizing Jesus and what he's doing. Jesus actually comes up behind those disciples and begins to talk with them and converse with them and opens their mind to the scriptures and talks about how the Old Testament scriptures point to him, or point to the Christ and what he had to suffer and do. By the time they get to the town where they're headed, or at least the stop along the way, they invite Jesus to stay with them, and Jesus then begins what he did on the Maundy Thursday evening. He took bread, broke it. He begins to go through that, and then their eyes are open. Boom, they recognize it's Jesus, and he leaves, vanishes from their sight. Boom. To reappear when they get back to Jerusalem, because they make an incredible journey back to Jerusalem to the disciples in the upper room. This means a few things for us as the church. It always has, but this speaks to our particular situation with COVID-19 in a unique way. The first is fear is a powerful motivator. Love is a powerful motivator too, and one of the things we want to make sure that we're doing as a church and as individuals is that we're not acting out of a spirit of fear or timidity, but the spirit of love and a spirit of power. And sometimes those actions can look kind of similar. We want to make sure we're taking care of our neighbors, we're watching out for our neighbors, we're respecting the authorities. These are all things that that are good to do, that we need to do as followers of Jesus Christ. The second thing, though, a part of that is, what does it look like to then, act out of a spirit of love and a spirit of power, and then also move forward the gospel? These are some things that we're wrestling with as a church, and our Lord Jesus has given us the opportunity to rest in this and to wrestle with what it means to be a follower in this time. Someone has called this period of being sort of sequestered in our homes a period of incubation, a period of preparation, and I think that that's true. Jesus does this with his disciples, not necessarily here on the road to Emmaus, but he gives them like 10 days after he ascends to heaven, before he sends the Spirit. There's a time of preparation, and that's a big deal. But then the second two things is that one is we're acting out of a spirit of love and power, not out of a spirit of fear, and that we're loving our neighbors and trying to do best by them. Second thing, though, is that we could be blinded by fear. If we're acting out of that spirit of fear, then we might be blinded to Jesus and what he's wanting us to do. The disciples, their eyes are open in spite of their fear through two things. One is conversation with Jesus. They even remark in Luke 24 that this is something that happens to them, that they're like, man, our hearts burned within us as he opened the scriptures to us. Like they knew something was going on there. So there was a conversation with Jesus that prepares us. Second thing, though, is the means of grace. And while we can't participate in communion right now, we can participate in reading the Word and being bolstered by the Word and memorizing the Word and in daily reading the Scriptures and ransacking them, if you will, for what He would have us do when this is all done. Because there will come an end to this, and the church will, we will have hopefully a renewed vigor and a renewed vision and intensity in our mission as we bring the gospel good news to the people around us. And that's only going to happen if we spend time talking with Jesus and time in His Word. So I hope those two things are helpful for you today as we continue through this interesting time in history, as we follow Jesus and act out of love and out of the spirit of power that He has given us, as we are prepared for the work that He's got us to do here to do in Pearland. So hope that's helpful for you, and we'll talk soon. Take care.